listen to me. The most dangerous lie in the world isn't "you can't do it." It's "once you've made it, you'll be happy." In the first 5 episodes of this show, we've gone to great lengths to explore how to acquire wealth, how to utilize leverage, and how to build judgment. This is a game called success. But now, I'm going to tell you a cruel paradox, a truth that might make all your previous efforts seem absurd. The very traits that help you acquire wealth are often the exact same ones that destroy your happiness. It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? The script we've been fed since childhood is this: work hard, sacrifice the present, achieve success, and then, at some distant point in the future, you will be received happiness as a reward. But Naval Ravikant points out a fundamental contradiction. Success stems from dissatisfaction. You want to change the world. You want to make more money. You want to optimize your physique. This is an energy that rejects the present. This dissatisfaction drives you to hunt, to create, and to conquer. Conversely, happiness stems from satisfaction. Happiness is accepting the present. It is believing that at this moment, I have everything I need. Do you see it now? These two are physiologically mutually exclusive. If you constantly maintain the achiever mindset, the constant desire to change the status quo, then biologically you are simply incapable of feeling happy. You think you are practicing delayed gratification, but in reality, you may be indefinitely postponing happiness. Many people spend their entire lives running in this game. They think there will be flowers and applause at the finish line, only to cross it and find nothing but a massive void and a brain that has forgotten how to be still. So the real question isn't how to succeed, but in this pursuit of success, do we still have the ability to stop at any time? Happiness is not a gift. It is not luck. It is not a destiny written in your genes. Happiness is a skill. Just like training muscles at the gym, happiness can be acquired through practice. This is exactly what we are going to explore today: how to deconstruct this paradox and how to cultivate an undisturbed mind without giving up your ambition. Welcome to Wisdom Compound. This is a digital study focused on the all-around accumulation of life. Here, we don't talk about chicken soup for the soul. We only talk about first principles. We are dedicated to deconstructing the wisdom of top thinkers like Naval Ravikant and transforming it into actionable mental models. If you also wish to stand on the shoulders of giants and let your wisdom and wealth compound automatically, please subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share this with a friend you want to find order with in this chaotic world. But before we dive deep, I must remind you of one thing. There is a massive chasm between understanding a principle and living a good life. The brain is very good at deceiving itself into thinking that understanding is the same as attaining. So please make sure to watch until the very end of the video. I won't just analyze the theory. I have distilled Naval's philosophy into a specific action list. That is the key to moving from knowing to doing. If you don't want to just listen to a great speech and still feel anxious afterward, then take this final piece of the puzzle with you. Now, let's return to the fireside. First, we need to redefine what happiness actually is. In the context of modern society, we've confused it. We've equated happiness with pleasure. You eat a Michelin-starred meal and you feel happy. You buy a limited edition watch and you feel happy. You get 1,000 likes on social media and you feel happy. No, that's not happiness. That's dopamine. That is excitement, pleasure, a high-energy emotional fluctuation. And any fluctuation has peaks and valleys. When the dopamine fades, what follows is emptiness and a craving for the next stimulus. This is why people who chase pleasure are often the unhappiest. Naval's definition of happiness is very calm, almost nihilistic, yet it strikes at the core. Happiness is the absence of lacking. Happiness is not an emotion, it is the default state. Try observing a 2- or 3-year-old child or a cat basking in the sun after a meal. Do they need a reason to be happy? No. As long as there is no pain, no hunger, and no fear, they are naturally happy. They live in the present, fully immersed in the moment. What does this tell us? It tells us that happiness is actually our brain's factory setting. It's not something you need to add from the outside. It's the state that remains when you subtract certain things. What do we need to remove? We need to remove desire, remove anxiety, and remove the obsession that the future must be better than the present. Naval said something very beautiful. When you feel like nothing is missing in your life, your mind shuts down. In those brief periods of time when you don't feel like you are lacking anything, your mind is quiet. When your mind is quiet, you are content, and you are happy. Imagine this. Your mind is like the surface of a calm lake. This is the essence of happiness. Calm, clear, reflecting the world like a mirror. But what do we do every day? We create a desire. I want a promotion. That's a stone thrown into the lake. We create a judgment. I don't like this weather. Another stone. We create an anxiety. What if the economy is bad next year? A big stone. The stones create ripples and the surface becomes murky and turbulent. This is the pain and anxiety we feel. The most absurd part is, what do we do when we feel pain? We desperately try to use our hands to smooth out the ripples. We seek entertainment, go shopping, or scroll through short videos, trying to use new stimuli to cover up old anxieties. But the more you stir the water, the more ripples you create. True happiness is not about smoothing the ripples, it's about stopping the throwing of stones. This is why I say happiness is subtraction. It sounds simple, right? Stop throwing stones? But it is extremely difficult, because our biological instincts and the entirety of consumerist society are forcing us to constantly pick up stones. We're trained to believe, if I have no desire, I will become a loser. If I am not anxious, I will be eliminated by society. Is that really true? Can a person with a peaceful mind not achieve success in the real world? Or is it precisely because of inner peace that we can make more accurate judgments and engage in more efficient action? This leads us to our next core topic, the nature of desire. We always say, I want X, so casually. But do you realize that every time you say, I want, you are actually signing a contract with yourself? What kind of contract? This part we need to deconstruct very carefully. A contract regarding delayed happiness. In the Almanack of Naval Ravikant, Naval provides the most incisive and most unsettling definition of desire I have ever encountered. Quote, desire is a contract that you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. Unquote. Let that sink in for a moment. We usually think of desire as motivation, as fuel, as the reason we get out of bed to grind. That's true, but we overlook the cost. When you say, I want this car, your subconscious is actually saying, without this car, I am incomplete and lacking. I refuse to enjoy my life right now until I am holding that steering wheel. If you only had one such contract, it might be bearable. You could view it as a form of extreme focus. But the problem is, look at your list. You want a promotion. You want to buy a house. You want your body fat to drop to 15%. You want your kids to get into a top school. You want your partner to be more considerate. You have signed a dozen contracts of suffering with yourself simultaneously. You are like a juggler tossing a dozen flaming torches, yet you still ask, why do I feel so exhausted? Why can't I find peace? Because you have chosen anxiety. Naval reminds us, we live in a state of constant desire and then wonder why we aren't happy. It's like the fable of the monkey. The monkey reaches into a jar to grab a handful of nuts, desire. The neck of the jar is narrow, and with its fist clenched around the nuts, it can't pull its hand out. When the hunter approaches, the monkey panics, but it refuses to let go. It complains about losing its freedom, but in reality, it isn't the jar that's trapping the monkey. It's the monkey's own clenched fist. We are that monkey. We think happiness is about grabbing more nuts, but true freedom is letting go. Does this mean we should live like ascetics, severing all desires and spending our lives in a cave? No, that's the other extreme. Naval is not just a philosopher, he is also one of Silicon Valley's most successful investors. He is not against action. His advice is extreme focus. At any given point in time, only allow yourself to have one core desire. Pick the thing that matters most to your life. Perhaps it's the success of your business or recovering from an illness. For this one desire, you can keep your contract of suffering. You can be anxious for it. You can struggle for it. This is a necessary price. But for everything else, your appearance, what others think of you, traffic jams, the weather, you must choose to let go. Tell yourself, except for that one core mission, I accept everything else exactly as it is. This is how you pull your soul back from the brink of a multi-threaded processing collapse and return your brain to the efficiency and peace of single-core operation. However, even if we try to reduce our desires, a ghost remains that constantly throws stones into our peaceful lake. That ghost is called envy, or in more academic terms, the status game. Human evolution dictated that we are social animals. In tribal times, status equaled survival resources. Thus, our brains are hardwired with a line of code, constant monitoring of who is better than me, and feeling pain because of it. In modern society, this code is completely malfunctioning. You open Instagram and see someone else's travels, someone else's physique, someone else's financial report. Envy seeps in like venom. Naval says, envy is a toxic emotion because at the end of the day, it doesn't improve your life at all. It just makes you unhappy. We all understand the logic, but how do we stop being envious? Naval provides what I consider to be the most powerful mental tool in the book. I call it the full swap. Listen closely. This test can instantly dismantle 90% of your envy. When you find yourself envying someone, maybe it's Elon Musk, or maybe it's your glamorous colleague, ask yourself one question. Am I willing to do a 100% swap with them? Note, 100%. You can't say, I want Musk's wealth, but I don't want his stress. You can't say, I want that star's body, but I don't want her broken family relationships. Or, I want my colleague's high salary, but I don't want his 80-hour work weeks and stomach ulcers. No. Life is a package deal. It's not a la carte. If you want their highlights, you must also inherit their childhood traumas, their fears, their insomnia, their physical ailments, and their eventual aging and death. Naval puts it this way. If you're not willing to do a wholesale 24/7 100% swap with who that person is, then there's no point in being jealous. When you apply this full swap mindset to those you envy, you'll be surprised to find you are only looking at a carefully edited trailer. If you saw the full feature film, you wouldn't want to buy a ticket. In that moment, the envy vanishes. You suddenly realize that being yourself is actually quite good. At the very least, you are familiar with your own set of troubles and you know how to live with them. This is the ultimate logic of be yourself. Not because it's a nice-sounding slogan, but because from a mathematical standpoint of expected value, becoming someone else is usually a losing trade. At this point, some might feel despair. Okay, I get that desire is suffering and envy is poison, but I just can't help it. I'm naturally an anxious person. My personality is just more pessimistic. This leads to the final and most important misconception we need to dismantle: happiness fatalism. We usually think whether a person is happy or not is determined by genetics or their childhood environment. Naval acknowledges that genetics play a role, but he emphasizes an empowering perspective. Happiness is a skill. Happiness is actually a skill that you learn and a habit that you develop, just like fitness is a skill, just like making money is a skill. What does this mean? It means happiness can be strengthened through practice. Imagine your brain as a muscle, or more accurately, a neural network. If you have spent the last 20 years practicing anxiety, worrying about the future every day, judging others every day, complaining about your environment every day, then congratulations, you have become a master of anxiety. Your brain has built super high-speed neural circuits that allow you to react negatively to anything in 0.1 seconds. This is the result of your training. Since anxiety can be trained, why can't peace be trained? Naval mentions that he wasn't born a happy person. On the contrary, he used to be very miserable and anxious. He achieved his current state of peace only by consciously rewriting his brain's programming. How do you rewrite it? Just as you go to the gym to lift weights to build muscle, you need to exercise your brain to grow happiness. This includes specific micro-habits, like meditation. Not to become a Buddha, but to practice observing your thoughts rather than becoming your thoughts. Like sunlight. The first light of the morning regulates your serotonin. That's a biological hard switch. Like the right social circle. This brings us to the famous 5 chimpanzee theory. In chimpanzee society, a chimp's emotional state depends on the state of the 5 chimps it spends the most time with. Humans are no different. Naval says, your happiness index ultimately depends on your habits and the people you spend the most time with. If the friends around you are all playing status games, comparing themselves to others and complaining, you cannot remain unaffected. Your mirror neurons will force you to mimic them. Want to be happy? Leave the people who drain your energy. It sounds cold, but it is taking responsibility for your own life. So stop saying, I can't be happy. That's like someone who never exercises saying, I can't be strong. Of course you can. You just haven't started lifting yet. The reason you aren't happy is because you haven't decided to be happy yet. Yes, happiness is a decision, followed by a series of practices. We have dismantled the subtractive nature of happiness, seen through the contract trap of desire, and learned to use the full swap to crush envy. Most importantly, we have confirmed that happiness is a skill entirely within your grasp. But theory without implementation is just intellectual masturbation. Next, I am going to give you the most critical gift of this episode, the protocol. These aren't just suggestions to listen to and forget. This is an operating manual distilled from Naval's wisdom that you must execute if you want to achieve inner peace. Get your notes ready, or better yet, get your resolve ready. This checklist consists of only 3 steps. Do not underestimate them. These 3 steps will help you reclaim control over your mind. Step 1. Execute the single desire rule. Right now, in this very moment, examine all the goals in your life. The promotion, the startup, buying that house, getting 6-pack abs, finding a soulmate, mastering a foreign language. It's too crowded. Your soul is overloaded. I want you to ruthlessly prune them until only one remains. That's right, just one. That is your sole priority for this stage of your life. For this one thing, you are allowed to maintain a healthy level of anxiety and drive because it is a contract of suffering that you have consciously chosen. As for the others, look at them and tell yourself, if these things fall apart, I completely accept it. This doesn't mean you stop trying. It means you let go of the obsession that the outcome must go my way. Free up your bandwidth and focus on that one vital strike. Step 2. Practice the full swap visualization. This is the ultimate cure for envy. The next time you see an influencer online or hear about a friend striking it rich and feel that sting of bitterness, activate this program immediately. Stop and ask yourself, am I willing to be him? Note, not have his money, but be him. Are you willing to take his face, his age, his family of origin, his hidden illnesses, his nightly insomnia, and all the chaos he faces? If your answer is no, then your envy is illogical. Since you don't want to be him, why be envious of a single fragment of his life? When you see the full picture, you realize that being yourself is the most rewarding choice you can make. Step 3. 1 hour of doing nothing daily. This is the hardest step. Naval suggests spending 60 minutes every day just sitting by yourself. Doing what? Nothing. No phone, no books, no music. Don't even try to meditate or watch your breath. Just sit there, eyes open or closed. At first, your brain will rebel violently. Endless anxieties, random thoughts, and to-do lists will flood in. Don't be afraid. That's just your brain clearing out its inbox. Let them flow. Don't fight them and don't follow them. Persist until the flood recedes. You will eventually experience a clear, unprecedented tranquility. That is the sound of your brain's factory reset. Finally, I want to leave you with a thought to close today's session. We spend the first half of our lives trying to change the external world, trying to earn more money, trying to change the people around us, trying to make the world obey. We believe that if the world outside becomes better, the us inside will be happy. But Naval tells us the world is fixed. You are the one who is malleable. Instead of trying to bend the entire universe to your will, seek inward and cultivate a peaceful heart. Understand that a doctor cannot make you healthy. He can only repair your injuries. A coach cannot make you fit. He can only show you the method. A wise man cannot make you wealthy. He can only point the way. Ultimately, you must take responsibility for yourself. Health must be built by you. Wealth must be earned by you. And happiness must be cultivated by you. Salvation can only ever come from within. When we are young, we pursue wealth, then health, and finally happiness. But when we reach the end of our lives and look back, the order is almost always reversed. If that's the case, why not start practicing the most important skill right now? Success can give you freedom, but only happiness can give you peace. Now that we know desire is the enemy of happiness, in the next episode, we will dive into the most hidden battlefield of all. EP07, Desire is a Contract of Suffering, How to Escape the Trap of the Status Game. If you don't want to spend your entire life exhausted by comparisons with others, be sure to come back. This is a channel for the compounding of wisdom. May wisdom be with you.